The following video is intended for mature audiences. It contains horror elements, adult themes, and language that might not be suitable for younger viewers. The role of clowns in horror is a divisive topic. Some see them as innocent reminders of childhood trips to the circus, while others view their painted grins as veils for evil intentions. My dread of clowns stems from Tim Curry's spine-tingling interpretation of Pennywise in the It miniseries, a fear that was only reaffirmed by Terrifier. Directed by Damien Leone, this film is an unapologetically violent exploration of horror that pushes limits with its cruel antagonist, Art the Clown. Art is a fusion of Pennywise's warped allure and Buffalo Bill's unsettling menace. For those like me who fear clowns, Terrifier isn't a movie to take lightly. It provides a challenging and distressing experience that goes beyond psychological horror into physical terror. The explicit content is front and center. This film will push your boundaries if you're squeamish. But if you can stomach the gore, Terrifier rewards viewers with an antagonist destined for legendary status in horror. Leone's adept direction and effective pacing make Terrifier a memorable cinematic experience. While its intensity may not be everyone's cup of tea, it leaves a lasting impact. Terrifier thrives on simplicity. It shuns complicated plot lines or excessive backstory. Its story is direct, a classic slasher scenario involving unsuspecting victims on Halloween night and an unstoppable killer on the loose. This minimalist approach benefits the film by allowing focus on its core strength, delivering visceral horror. Art the Clown stands out in this nightmare landscape. David Howard Thornton gives an exceptional performance as the crazy clown, tracking his victims with a chilling composure that makes his violent eruptions even more shocking. The film starts ominously and maintains this dark atmosphere throughout. We encounter two women, Tara and Dawn, who cross paths with Art the Clown in an empty diner after a Halloween party. What follows is a steady spiral into terror as Art chases them through increasingly violent and intense scenes. Art lacks a sophisticated backstory or motive. He's simply a force of nature, a killer whose sole purpose is to inflict pain in the most horrific ways possible. This lack of character depth heightens the film's overall sense of fear. We don't sympathize with or try to understand Art. He's merely an embodiment of brutality, which makes him all the more terrifying. Unlike many films that attempt to humanize their monsters or offer moral reasons for their actions, Terrifier takes a different approach. Art embodies pure evil, and his lack of clear motives enhances his disturbing screen presence. Art the Clown is central to Terrifier's impact. While clowns are not new in horror, Art sets himself apart through his wickedness and unique characterization. His silence, exaggerated expressions, mime-like movements, and the sick pleasure he takes in tormenting his victims distinguish him from other movie killers. He has a simple appearance, white face paint, deep black eyes, and a menacing grin, lacking the typical colorful elements of clown imagery. Yet what truly makes him terrifying is his unpredictability. He doesn't follow the usual slasher pattern. Instead, he toys with his victims before launching violent assaults. For me, clowns were already unnerving figures, but Art intensified this fear. Unlike Pennywise, who is supernatural, or Buffalo Bill, driven by psychosis, Art occupies a gray area, a clown who could be human but exhibits behavior suggestive of something much more threatening. His relentless presence in Terrifier and total lack of empathy or reason leave viewers feeling unending dread. Terrifier is a film that thrives on psychological fear, offering graphic violence and brutal scenes that can unsettle even seasoned horror enthusiasts. The movie's stark realism and disturbing visuals are not mere shock tactics. They're carefully designed to deliver a deeply unsettling and horrifying experience. One notorious scene involves an extended gruesome death sequence that has become a hallmark of Terrifier's horror style. This scene borders on the grotesque, but showcases director Damien Leone's commitment to practical effects and his daring approach to pushing limits. The gore in Terrifier has a raw, old-school feel reminiscent of classic slasher films, where bloody scenes were created with careful attention to detail rather than digital effects. This nod to vintage horror doesn't take away from Terrifier's unique place within the genre, it strengthens it. The explicit violence doesn't appear unnecessary or solely for shock value. Each violent act serves a purpose, increasing tension and intensifying fear. Leone skillfully manages the pacing, knowing when to hold back and when to unleash mayhem, resulting in an unpredictable rhythm that keeps viewers constantly on their toes. For every graphic scene, there's an equal amount of quiet. This balance prevents viewers from becoming desensitized to the violence while sustaining suspense throughout the movie, reflecting Leone's competent directing abilities. Beyond its bloody exterior, Terrifier delves into themes of helplessness that make it even more distressing. Victims are left powerless, at the mercy of Art the Clown, who takes pleasure in their terror. Art doesn't just kill, he humiliates his victims before delivering lethal blows, which adds depth to his character. Tara, our protagonist, epitomizes this sense of vulnerability. From her initial encounter with Art, it is clear she is overpowered. Her unsuccessful attempts to escape or fight back emphasize her desperate situation and Art's eerie control over events. This predator-prey dynamic contributes significantly to what makes Terrifier so disconcerting. Unlike many slasher films where the protagonist eventually gains control, Terrifier provides no such comfort. The power remains with Art throughout, creating a persistent sense of fear that lingers. Leone's directing approach is ideally suited for Terrifier. His previous work on All Hallows' Eve introduced Art the Clown and paved the way for Terrifier. Although All Hallows' Eve fell short in some aspects, Terrifier seems like the true embodiment of Leone's vision. The director's preference for practical effects and conventional horror techniques is apparent in every scene. The movie emits a gritty realism, emphasized by its low-budget look, which adds to its rawness and immediacy. Rejecting polished horror cliches, Terrifier offers a raw, intense experience akin to spiraling into insanity. Leone wisely keeps the plot simple and concentrates on fleeting terror, a strategic decision that greatly benefits the film. Terrifier doesn't feature complicated twists or unnecessary subplots to divert from the main terror. It's all about delivering pure fear. Steady pacing ensures constant tension, while skillfully playing with classic horror tropes for maximum effect. Terrifier might not be everyone's cup of tea due to its explicit violence and non-stop gore, but for those who appreciate a well-made slasher with a truly horrifying antagonist at its heart, it's a must-watch. Art the Clown emerges as a new kind of horror icon whose silent yet cruel presence stays with you long after the movie ends. For those who have always been afraid of clowns, Terrifier offers an intense and disturbing experience that brings back and magnifies childhood fears. Beyond inducing fear, Terrifier signifies a return to raw, uncompromising horror, reminiscent of the golden age of slasher films. It's a movie that understands what it is and delivers without hesitation. With its practical effects, steady pacing, and unforgettable villain, Terrifier is likely to become a cult classic in the future. If you have the nerve for it, this film offers a thrillingly terrifying experience. For those with a fear of clowns, prepare yourselves. Your phobia is about to be intensified tenfold. Terrifier is a slasher splatter horror thriller that is 1 hour and 25 minutes long and is unrated. This movie was suggested by a friend. Despite my fear of clowns, I loved this one and look forward to seeing the others in the series. The Southern Underworld gives it 4 bloody knives. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. See you next time. Thank you for watching.